Have you ever felt like your emotions were in control of you? Like anger, anxiety, or sadness pulled the strings while you watched helplessly? Have you ever wished you could pause time just long enough to respond instead of react? To stay calm in the chaos and strong in the face of provocation? If you're nodding right now, you're not alone, and you're not powerless. The truth is, emotional intelligence isn't about suppressing what you feel. It's about creating space. Space between impulse and action. Space to choose a better way forward. Today, we dive into a forgotten source of emotional mastery: Stoicism, ancient wisdom that teaches us how to feel fully without falling apart. If you want to turn emotional chaos into clarity and learn how to lead yourself under pressure, this is your path. Before we begin, if you're seeking more content that empowers your mindset, emotional strength, and self-mastery, make sure to subscribe and join this journey of growth. Let's begin. 1. Catch the first spark before it burns you. Every emotion begins with a flicker, an uninvited impulse, fast and intense. The Stoics called this moment proptheia, the spark before the flame. You can't control that initial flash, but you can control what happens next. It could be a flash of irritation when someone interrupts you, a sudden wave of envy when you see someone succeed, or the sting of rejection. These reactions arise instantly, before reason has time to speak. But in that flicker lies an opportunity. Recognizing the spark doesn't mean denying it or pretending it's not there. It means catching it before it turns into a wildfire of reaction. The difference between a wise person and a reckless one is often just a few seconds. Seconds spent not reacting. That moment, that gap between stimulus and response, is where emotional intelligence lives. It's where choice exists. You don't need to extinguish the spark. You need to observe it, name it, create space around it. This space is sacred. It's where rationality returns. Emotional maturity isn't about becoming a robot. It's about knowing when to pause. When you notice that spark and choose your response instead of being enslaved by it, you reclaim your power. You are no longer a puppet pulled by unseen strings. You are an agent, not a reactor. You stand in the eye of the storm, watching lightning dance, but unmoved by it unless you decide to act. Say someone insults you, the flash of anger, normal. But what you do next, that defines your strength. Do you lash out immediately, driven by ego and wounded pride? Or do you pause, breathe, and ask, what story am I telling myself about this? That question alone is a shield. The Stoics would say, let reason take the reins, not reflex. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you always have the option to have no opinion. Seneca warned that anger is momentary madness. And Epictetus said, it's not things that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. The insult isn't the real fire, your response is. Learn to catch the spark early, because once it becomes a flame, it's harder to put out. Practicing this skill takes time, but it changes everything. Begin by noticing your body, the tightening jaw, the rising chest, the clenched fists. These are physical signs of an emotional spark. Your body speaks before your mind. Train yourself to become aware. Train yourself to pause. This isn't weakness, it's the highest form of strength. Most people are slaves to their first impulse. Be the exception. Catch the spark, and you'll never have to live with the damage caused by an uncontrolled blaze. 2. Feel it, but don't become it. Anger is a feeling. Being an angry person is an identity. The difference is everything. One is fleeting, the other is chosen. We all feel strong emotions. They are part of the human condition. But when you fuse your identity with the emotion, when you say, I am angry, instead of I feel angry, you give it power over you. You become it. And in becoming it, you lose the space to act wisely. Stoicism teaches us that emotions are not enemies, but they must be understood as signals, not shackles. They knock on your door, but you don't have to invite them to stay. One of the most powerful Stoic ideas is this: you are not your emotions. You experience them, but they don't define you. This is not detachment in the sense of suppression. It's detachment in the sense of perspective. You can feel deeply and still remain steady. Emotions are weather patterns. You are the mountain. The rain falls, the wind howls, the storm rages, but the mountain stands. When you understand this, you no longer fear your emotions. You watch them come and go without being swept away. When you begin to separate yourself from the story your feelings are telling, you become free. You're no longer dragged by emotion like a leaf in the wind. Instead, you watch the wind blow and decide whether to move. You reclaim authorship over your inner world. Let's say fear arises before a big decision. Most people run or freeze. But the Stoic pauses and asks, what is this fear telling me? Is it useful? Is it true? The gap between stimulus and identity is where freedom grows. You feel anger, but you don't act in anger. You feel sadness, but you don't drown in it. You feel anxiety, but you don't obey it. Next time sadness or fear shows up, don't resist it or cling to it. Acknowledge it, learn from it, then let it pass. You are the sky, not the storm. The clouds don't define the sky, they merely visit. This awareness builds resilience. It allows you to face life's volatility with grace. The Stoics did not seek to eliminate emotion. They sought to master it. Mastery begins when you stop saying, I am this feeling, and start saying, I am noticing this feeling. From there, you become unshakable. 3. Control the controllable, release the rest. Here's the trap we all fall into: trying to control what we can't. The outcome of a situation, other people's opinions, the past, the future. We exhaust ourselves worrying about variables outside our influence, then wonder why we feel powerless. But the Stoics knew better. They drew a clear line between what's within our control and what isn't. And peace lives on your side of that line. When you finally grasp that distinction, you stop wasting your strength trying to move the immovable. You start investing it where it matters. The Stoics taught one of the most liberating ideas in human history: focus only on what's within your control, your thoughts, your decisions, your responses. Everything else, let it go. Epictetus said, happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control, and some things are not. This principle is both simple and profound. It shifts your focus inward, where real power resides. You can't stop the storm, but you can adjust your sails. You can't control someone else's behavior, but you can control your reaction to it. When you stop chasing control over the uncontrollable, something shifts. You reclaim your power. You stop blaming and start building. Emotional intelligence begins when you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what can I do with this? That's the Stoic pivot from victimhood to agency. The external world becomes less intimidating when you understand that your peace isn't dependent on it. It's easy to feel powerless when you attach your well-being to outcomes. But when you shift your energy to your own behavior and mindset, you find stability even in chaos. Let the world do what it does. You control you. That's where your freedom lives. Practice it daily. When someone cuts you off in traffic, you control your breath. When a plan falls through, you control your attitude. When criticism comes, you control whether you take it personally or use it as feedback. Over time, this habit forms a fortress around your mind. The storms still come, but they no longer shake you, because you know, deeply, where your responsibility ends and where your freedom begins. That's Stoicism in action. 4. Reframe the story, rewrite the emotion. Emotions don't come from events. They come from how you interpret those events. That's the Stoic secret to emotional clarity. What happens to you is only half the story. The other half is what you tell yourself about what happened. That's where emotion is born, not in the facts, but in the framing. A Stoic understands this. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations that, if you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your judgment about it. This is the foundation of emotional clarity, separating what happened from what you believe it means. When you realize that your emotions arise from interpretation, not the event itself, you reclaim power. You begin to see that it is not the world that dictates your peace, it is your perspective. Two people experience the same moment. One falls apart, the other finds strength. Why? Not because the event was different, but because the meaning was. This is not a philosophical theory. It's a psychological reality. Two people can lose their job. One crumbles, believing it's proof they're worthless. The other sees it as a new beginning, an invitation to reinvent. Same circumstance, different story. The way you explain the world to yourself defines your emotional life. The Stoics weren't trying to turn off their feelings. They were refining the lens through which they viewed the world. They trained themselves to respond to adversity, not with despair, but with dignity. The battlefield is internal. Win there. And the external loses its grip. When something upsets you, ask, what am I making this mean? Your brain writes stories. They don't respect me. I'm a failure. I'll never recover. But what if those stories are lies? The human mind is a meaning-making machine, but often it writes scripts based on fear, ego, and past wounds. When someone ignores your message, your brain may say, they don't care about me. When you make a mistake, it may shout, I always mess everything up. These stories feel true, but are they? Stoicism invites you to challenge the automatic narratives. Ask, is there another possible interpretation? Could this be a misunderstanding, not rejection, a stumble, not a sign of doom? You must become the editor of your mind's stories. You can't control the plot twists in life, but you can choose how the story is told. Practice this. Instead of reacting to the story your mind creates, question it. Replace it with something stronger. Growth over guilt. Challenge over defeat. That shift in perception reshapes your emotions and your life. This is not easy work, but it is transformational. Instead of spiraling when things go wrong, step back, become the observer. Watch your thoughts like clouds passing by. Ask, is this thought serving me? Is this belief true or just familiar? Then rewrite the internal script. If you fail, don't call yourself a failure. Say, this is where I learn. If someone criticizes you, don't hear an attack. Hear an opportunity to grow or a chance to practice patience. These are not lies you're telling yourself. They are strength-based frames that help you navigate reality with resilience. The story you choose to believe can make the difference between despair and discipline, between suffering and strength. 5. Pause, reflect, respond. Power isn't in reacting fast, it's in responding slow, with wisdom. We often mistake speed for strength. In a world of instant replies and knee-jerk reactions, slowing down feels unnatural. But true power lies in stillness. When something provokes you, a comment, an insult, a disappointment, your immediate impulse is rarely your wisest response. The Stoics knew this. They believed that between stimulus and response, there is space. And in that space lies the possibility for choice. To pause is not to be passive, it's to be deliberate. It's the opposite of emotional slavery. It's self-governance. When you respond instead of react, you turn every situation into an opportunity for mastery. The Stoics mastered the art of the pause, before they spoke, before they acted, especially before they let emotion drive the wheel. Imagine how many regrets could be avoided with just one pause, one breath, one step back. Seneca said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." The moment emotion rushes in, it wants to command you, to hijack your mouth, your hands, your decisions. But when you pause, you reclaim the wheel. You give yourself the power to choose your next move. This is how the Stoics stayed grounded, not by suppressing emotion, but by waiting long enough to understand it. Their words were measured, their actions aligned with principles, not impulses. The pause was their shield and their weapon. Taking a moment to breathe, journal, or step back isn't weakness. It's strength, it's strategy. It's the space where clarity enters and chaos exits. When you're overwhelmed, the body tenses and the mind races. That's when you need the pause most. Breath becomes your anchor. A journal becomes your mirror. Even stepping outside for a moment becomes a reset button for the soul. These are not acts of avoidance. They're tactical resets. In that moment of silence, emotion can be observed instead of obeyed. Clarity can speak. And often, what seemed like a crisis reveals itself as a challenge you're equipped to meet. If only you had taken the time to see it clearly. The strongest people aren't those who act the fastest, but those who choose their action consciously. Emotional intelligence is not suppression, it's examination. Learn from the feeling, let it teach you, then let it leave. Don't carry what was meant to pass. You are not meant to be a robot. Stoicism is not about being cold, it's about being clear. Every emotion has something to teach. Anger can reveal a violated boundary. Sadness may signal something you care about, but you're not meant to cling to these feelings forever. Examine them, learn from them, and then release them. Like a visitor, let the emotion enter, share its message, and leave. Carrying emotions that were meant to pass only adds weight to your soul. You don't owe permanence to passing storms. You owe yourself peace. Decide not from emotion, but from values, from virtue. That's how you live aligned and lead yourself with power. When your emotions run high, your clarity runs low. That's why the Stoics urged decisions rooted in virtue, not feelings. Virtue is stable. Emotion is transient. If you act from values, like courage, justice, patience, or discipline, you always have a compass, no matter how turbulent the seas. A Stoic asks, what would the best version of me do right now? Not what feels good, but what is good. That question leads to integrity, and integrity leads to strength. When you live aligned with your values, you become trustworthy to yourself, and that is the foundation of all power. Let virtue lead, not emotion. At the heart of Stoicism is this truth. You don't eliminate emotion to become wise, you channel it. When anger arises, can you let courage guide your response? When sadness visits, can you meet it with compassion? When frustration builds, can you answer with patience? Let virtue lead the way, because emotional intelligence isn't just about how you feel, it's about how you live, with intention, with integrity, with inner freedom. If this resonated with you, hit that subscribe button and stay with us for more tools on building your best self. You don't need to be ruled by your emotions. You can rise above them. Stoicism is not about feeling less. It's about living better. Your mind is your greatest battlefield. Master it, and you master your life.